Always compete is another motto or philosophy that I've gleaned from my favorite football coach, or coach for that matter, Pete Carroll. When I was living in Los Angeles and rooting for my beloved USC Trojans, I was able to watch Pete Carroll not just come in as a coach, but really came in with a philosophy. And by implementing his philosophy, he was able to lead the USC football team back to prominence, back to the national championship level, winning two. And then he also moved on to the NFL, where he went back to and had earlier semi-success and some failure. But he went back and coached the Seattle Seahawks to a Super Bowl championship. And I was able to watch him implement his programs both times since we now live in Seattle, and I was able to watch again firsthand, kind of from an inside look of Pete Carroll's really bigger philosophy, which is always compete. Always compete. Now, as an athlete, that phrase really resonated with me immediately. As a salesperson, as a business owner, I've also used that in my life, and as far as the way I work, my mentality, my attitude, in order to strive to be the best, and in order to strive to really, for me, to enjoy my work. And so I've always had a mindset of competing. Winston Churchill said, look, there's no stasis in life. Either you're keeping pace, falling behind, or you're winning. And so, you know what? We have to understand that we've been raising a generation of everybody gets a trophy. There are no losers. Everybody's a winner, and succeeding just isn't fair. You know what? That is a horrible, absolutely horrible concept. First of all, competition is life. I mean, competition is life. I mean, we have to compete in almost everything we do. Nobody's going to hand you a job. Nobody's going to hand you a wife. Nobody's going to hand you money. You have to go out and you have to earn it. You have to win it. You have to fight for it. You have to do the things that will help you win. And so the idea of creating a culture that, blames other people or feels like they're the victim, all that does is cripple and stunt your growth. It really does. You know what? I realize that there are different situations for people, and there are obstacles and trials and hurdles, and we don't all start at the same place. Agreed. So what are you going to do? Curl up in a ball? Cry? Suck your thumb? No, you have to fight. You have to compete. Even if you're starting with a handicap, even if you're starting behind the line, you have to compete. And so one of the first things I want to make very clear is competition is not a dirty word. Competition is not sinful. I hear today in politics, capitalism's too competitive. Why can't we all just win? Why can't we all earn the same? You know why? Because it doesn't work that way. And nobody in the history of mankind has been able to figure out a way where we can all make the same amount of money. Even in their books, Plato's Republic, Utopia, none of these books have been able to even write out a fictional concept of where everybody ends up equal. I mean, the fact is, if you read Animal Farm, if you weren't equal at one time and then you become equal, then you rise to the top, and it becomes something where you still have the haves and the have-nots. It's just the way life is, and from a sports standpoint, competition is great, and there's a lot of benefits in sports. And I think I mentioned to you that maybe a big part of my fish philosophy, no matter where I go, my fish philosophy being the way I implement fun, I'm into it, I serve with a smile, and have a great experience that I share with others, is in my mind, no matter where I'm at, part of my fish philosophy is I'm an athlete and I'm competing. I'm competing. I'm in a game, and you know what? By definition, games are fun. Games are supposed to be fun, and so when I go to work, one of the ways that I have fun is I'm competing, and so just like any sports, we keep stats, right? Athletes, sports, they keep a lot of stats. They got charts and figures, and we keep score, right? There's outcomes, and I think that's a really important thing for us to understand in understanding the word and the good word of competition. And so, yes, in business, we have outcomes. We use these stats, we use the sales, we use the number of calls, we use the figures to self-correct, to improve, to do better. Yes, we keep score. We're trying to win. Look, we all need to make an income. We all have a certain amount of money that we have to make. But then there's also another gear. There's another level of income where we're looking to reach a bonus or looking to reach new heights or to make more. And so just like sports, look, we keep stats and we keep score. And then one of the other benefits of sports is awards, right? Awards, prizes, recognition. People like to be recognized. And, I'm in sales, and there's a lot of trophies. There's a lot of gift prizes, cash prizes. There's cruises, there's trips. Heck, there's just the title of knowing that you're the best, that you're the number one agent in the office, the number one agent in the region, in the state, the number one agent in the country, or at least in the top 10. Hey, there's a lot of just good self-esteem, and it feels good to go to work and to get an award, right? Just like in sports. Well, one of the other areas of always competing is, and I've made mention to this, is, look, we have to understand that life is not fair. That's right, life is not fair. My favorite baseball coach, other than my dad, of course, was in college and is a former two-time All-American at USC. His name was Pat Harrison. And the Pat Harrison speech went like this to the baseball team. Look, I am not going to treat you equal. I'm not going to be fair. You know why? Because God didn't make you fair. God made some people tall. He made some people short. He made some people slow. He made some people fast. He made some people bigger, stronger than other people. Look, you guys have different positions, different roles. You were not made the same. That's what makes a team. The benefit and the strength of a team is that you have different types of athletes with different sets of skills. But it's not fair. I mean, fair, everybody would look exactly the same, right? Well, that's not what makes the best team. That's not what makes the best basketball team. Traditionally you have your short, fast shooting guards, you have your strong, mid-size, mid-range guys, your forwards, and then you have the really big giant guy that's the center. And it's the combination of these different skill sets that make for a great team. But it's not fair. It's not fair. One of the great lessons we taught our baseball players when we had our select baseball team at the Jamie Baseball Academy was we started them at 12 years old doing pitching battles. The way that they were ranked, the way that the pitching order was going to be chosen in games was based upon the pitching battles that we had during our practices. This was literally the most competitive, the funnest times that we had over the 5-6 years that we coached the same group of kids, where they would get together. Two kids would have what we called pitching battles. Essentially, the kid who threw the most strikes won. And you know what? Every single year, the top pitchers in the pitching battles were the top pitchers on the field as well. It was literally player for player. Every single stat that we kept was the same because of the pitching battles. But you know what? The pitching battles weren't fair. I mean, when we started, we had some guys who had pitched a lot more than other guys, and some guys who we had just transitioned into pitchers. And so But, some guys improved and over the years got better. And that was the fun part of that situation, was seeing that even though they might not have started out fair by the end, and by using competition, it was a beautiful thing to see. Think about it this way. If you don't like competition, if you don't like the word, if you don't like the unfairness, think about the opposite of it. So instead of competing, this is how you're going to live your life. You're going to surrender. You're going to give up. You're going to yield. You're going to settle for the status quo. Yeah, none of that sounds good to me, and I hope it doesn't sound good to you. And so finally, I want to close with this. When we think of the term always compete, first of all, always. We never stop. We never stop. It's not sometimes compete. It's not, only compete when you need to compete. It's always compete. The USC fight song says, fight on, but it doesn't end there. The real motto of USC football is fight on to victory. And so you know what? We're called to fight, not just to compete, but to actually fight on to win, to victory. So when you think of always compete, think of this. It's time to get up. It's time to compete. You're competing against yourself, so be better than you were yesterday. Do things better than they've ever been done before. Make today count. Always compete.